Today I chose a topic that is very popular with a lot of people, HYROX. I'm not going to talk smack about it. I honestly think that HYROX is a pretty cool sport which is emerging or has emerged since CrossFit. It's a huge hype. And I do on occasion, when I speak to athletes that compete in HYROX, they ask me, how should I be eating or supplementing for HYROX? So today's topic, I'm going to be covering the top 10 performance supplements for HYROX athletes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with number one. You want to take a guess what it is?
Creatine.
Yeah,
Of course.
protein. So creatine monohydrate obviously is the most well-researched supplement out there. Creatine monohydrate increases something called phosphocreatine in the muscle cells, okay, which helps in regenerating ATP, which we all know is the body's energy currency, right?
Correct.
Now, during high intensity exercise or high short burst activities, creatine monohydrate is something that you definitely want to be supplementing with. And considering HYROX has a lot of these moments in the sport, think sled push and pull, burpee broad jumps, fast runs. Yeah, so that's, from my understanding, what I've read, seen, and spoken to athletes about. That's usually how the format works. Now, dosaging, 3 to 5 grams a day. You can do the loading protocol, which is you can load for 20 grams per day for 5 days, but it's honestly very optional. There's no superior benefits from loading. Probably you reach cell saturation a bit more quicker, but there is a potential downside. You could cause some level of indigestion or irritability in your gut. If that happens, you can just dial it back down. But 3 to 5 grams every day by 2 weeks? 2 to 3 weeks?
Roughly, you're talking about if you do the loading dose, it's 7 days. If we don't do the loading dose, we just take 3 to 5 grams regularly. It takes you about 21 to 28 days to saturate. So that being said, you have to understand that creatine monohydrate is not like a pre-workout.
Yeah.
So you should not be taking it expecting to have results immediately like what caffeine does. So if whoever is doing HYROX, if you ask me, ideally you should be already training with creatine on so that you know how your body is adapting to it. And it's important to keep it saturated. That means your dosing has to be done regularly in order to keep your muscle saturated. No, you don't wait for right up to the end of the event and then you start saturating it. So that will be something. And the other thing is you want to train, you want to study early because like you just said, right, there's could be bloating, could be indigestion. Okay, you want to get used to all those symptoms. And normally within about 2 weeks of using the creatine monohydrate, those things actually get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the interesting nugget. As of recently, I'm not sure how far back, but creatine monohydrate has now more or newer research has emerged in regards to creatine being not just a performance enhancing supplement, but a neuroprotective and anti-inflammatory supplement. So basically it helps with your cognitive function. It helps with brain function and your recovery.
Yeah, because there was research that said that in rugby players who are taking creatine monohydrate, the impact of a concussion is actually lesser compared to someone who doesn't.
Oh, that is interesting.
Because at the end, a concussion is actually an energy deprivation to the brain after an impact. So there's an energy sink that happens. And when the person is already supplementing creatine, the brain creatine is higher, the impact on the concussion is actually a lot lesser compared to someone who's not on creatine monohydrate. So yeah, you're right. Okay. I think there's some role in dementia and Alzheimer's.
Correct. Okay, so for those of you out there that are listening, what this means in simple terms is think of creatine as an extra gas tank. When others are sort of gassing out, you are still going strong, still finishing strong. So it's a good supplement to have on hand and start consuming. Okay, now moving on to number 2. Want to see another guess?
Whey protein.
No, it's part of the list. Okay, it starts with B.
Beta-alanine?
Yeah, there we go. See, beta-alanine. So beta-alanine increases something called carnosine in your muscles, which helps buffer hydrogen ions and delays lactic acid buildup. Now, carnosine, what is it, right? It's essentially a natural substance that helps your muscle control the level of acidity in it. Okay, when you're going really hard, imagine as if carnosine is like a sponge, right? It soaks up the acid buildup during these intense exercises and basically allows you to keep going more and more and more. So that's a good thing to have, especially in a sport that is constantly you're pushing and pushing and pushing. So it's something to have. Now, what does it mean when it says buffering these hydrogen ions, right? Is when you exercise, your body releases something called hydrogen ions, and which make the muscles more acidic and in essence tired, right? So beta-alanine, it helps soak up these, helps soak these all up, and then it slows down that burn feeling that you get, especially when you're pushing really hard, then you feel this like, they like to say lactic acid buildup, but it's essentially that burn sensation you get, right? So think of it like turning on the AC in a hot room. When it slows down fast and then it heats up, right? So you can stay comfortable performing for longer durations.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important for HYROX, especially like things where you got to be sustained energy release, right? Like,
Correct.
like wall balls and those kind of things. You're going to tire out, you're going to slow down the speed at which you can throw these balls against the wall. Of course, that being said, beta-alanine, the dosing has to be correct. So I think we're going to cover
Yeah, the dosing is
Yeah.
So especially like in what exercises would this supplement come in handy would be the walking lunges and the ski erg sprints, right? So
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes, those things.
So dosage wise, it's 3.2 to 6.4 grams per day, and you split it up to avoid something called paresthesia, which is essentially that tingling sensation that you get. So for those of you that have actually tried pre-workout, if you've ever had that tingling sensation like ants all over your face, that is what we call paresthesia.
That's ready to go.
It's like that's LFG, right? LFG. And with all these supplements, I've included like interesting nuggets to share with the listeners out there. Beta-alanine is actually shown to have a particular benefit in efforts or exercises. Basically, whatever you're doing, efforts that are lasting 1 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, correct.
1 to 4 minutes, which is exactly the kind of time domain that HYROX works in.
Good.
So that's why it's something definitely you want to have, you want to consider having in your supplement stack.
Okay.
Now, an analogy I would like to use for a beta-alanine is kind of like putting ice packs on your muscle mid-race.
Okay.
The burn comes slower and you last longer. Simple as that. Okay. Now, number 3, caffeine. Caffeine, it's a no-brainer. Caffeine blocks something called adenosine in your body, which is essentially what makes you tired.
Correct.
And it increases dopamine and adrenaline. It improves your both your physical and your mental aspects when it comes to performance, right? Now, when adenosine is released in the body, it makes you feel sleepy. Caffeine blocks this.
Correct.
All right. So that's why when you don't have any caffeine in you, you feel like you're yawning, you're tired, you have a shot of an espresso, suddenly you're not yawning. So that's basically adenosine in your brain being blocked due to the effects of caffeine.
Correct.
Dosage wise, you want to try anywhere between 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, about give or take 30 to 45 minutes before training or competition. So it's something you usually want to experiment with. A lot of these supplements, a big important note to take into account is you don't want to try this on the competition day. You want to try it many weeks and months in advance to see how your body responds to it. Because some people, they're very sensitive. If you take beta-alanine or you take caffeine, which you're not used to or accustomed to, and you may end up thinking, if you're one of those people that says like more is better, and you load up way too much, you may end up just crashing really bad.
I've seen people take a cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon and not sleep the whole night. I'm like, what?
Yes, exactly. You take coffee at 10 p.m., 10:01. That's what having 2 kids does to you. Okay, so that's
your week.
So one of the interesting things about caffeine is it has a lot of research on it. It's shown to improve muscle endurance, reaction time, even improving some like pacing strategy.
Right.
It also helps make you, basically it allows you to make better decisions mid-race. Your level of focus is there.
But would you say like they have to like re-supplement it mid-race?
It depends on how much you take and what is the duration. Like for example, when you say mid-race, I don't think that HYROX is something like, it doesn't last several hours, right? If you take a shot of espresso or you take your caffeine 30 minutes before your competition, it's going to last you several hours. However, given the level of sweat, how much you're going through, Some people, maybe the bigger individuals, may need a little bit more, but I don't know. From your perspective, from your professional point of view, do you think that someone who takes caffeine, that their body, given that they're going through such an intense state, will burn it off?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they actually burn it off. Because once you're in the activity, the stimulant effect already kicked in already. You're already on fight stage already. So your sympathetic systems are all going at that point.
So do you think someone would benefit from taking it like refilling, like maybe mid?
I don't know about that, but what I would think is some people might take caffeine beverages in between.
Like a Red Bull.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. They all have a little bit of caffeine there to keep you going. And the other thing that caffeine does, it actually also aids in the things like lipolysis and breakdown of energy systems. You know, to release energy into the blood. So I think that would be helpful for someone who's doing an activity which is intense and is prolonged for a period of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's where caffeine can come in. But I'm not sure whether they have enough time to like just chuck down 100 milligrams of caffeine, or are they sipping 20, 30 milligrams as you go.
Like microdosing?
Yeah, you're microdosing along the way. You know, in powerlifting, we kind of do that where you take it first thing, then maybe after your bench, you might take another dose.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Then the other thing I was thinking about is, should people do what is like a wash-up period?
Yep.
So, like, you know, we do that in powerlifting, right? We wash up.
1 week before competition, we completely stop caffeine to resensitize our body to it. And then on the day itself, we introduce it. And then it just gives us that whole new boost.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good strategy as well. But talking about the 3 to 6 milligrams per kg, right?
Yeah.
Like what Luke, you just mentioned earlier, I think people should experiment with lower doses first.
Yep, of course.
It could be even like 1, 2, 3 milligrams per kg because you don't know your level of sensitivity.
Yeah.
You know, you could take 75 milligrams and stay awake the whole day, and you can take, some people take 300 and sleep right immediately after.
Yeah.
So everybody reacts to it differently. So I will always say start low and gradually build up on the dose as you're getting accustomed to it. Yeah.
What do you think one shot of espresso has how many milligrams?
It depends where you get it from. It can be anywhere between 80 to 240, depending how many shots is in there.
Okay.
So if you're talking about things like Nescafe, right, you can get it as little as 40 to 50 milligrams kg per shot. And you're talking about a double espresso shot, you can go up to about 150, 160 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah. So your regular coffee from a coffee shop, proper coffee shop, should give you roughly between 100 to 150 milligrams of caffeine.
Okay.
And most of them do double shots anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
So any stronger than you do, probably triple shot or double shot it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Number 4 on this list is an electrolyte complex. So for those of you out there that are not familiar, electrolytes are essentially your sodium, your potassium, and your magnesium. Electrolytes maintain fluid balance, nerve impulses, and muscle contractions. And given that HYROX is approximately 60 to 90 minutes long, you guys are sweating. It's very, very demanding. It goes without saying that a loss of electrolytes can lead to cramps, fatigue, and a definite performance drop. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. How much of these things do you want to be consuming? All these like recommended dosages are based off several peer-reviewed articles, especially from ISSN, which is the International Sports Nutrition Society. Now, sodium, you want it to be between 500 to 1,000 milligrams per hour during your exertion. All right. So these are usually where your electrolyte drinks come in place, or the sachets or whatnot. Potassium between 2,500 to 3,400 per day. Now these can come from foods or supplements, but best to get it from foods as well. Always, if you can have the choice to get it from foods, get it from foods. All right, it's not the other way around. Magnesium, 300 to 400 milligrams per day. Now there are different types of variations of magnesium. You have your magnesium citrate, biglycinate, glycinate. What's the other one?
Threonate
oxide. So each of these types of magnesiums cater to a specific need, whether it's from a cognitive perspective or whether it's from a performance recovery perspective. So you want to make sure that you have the right type of magnesium on hand.
Yeah.
So I would say glycinate for recovery.
Glycinate or glycinate is what is mostly used.
Yeah.
Threonate is more for brain function. Citrate is okay as well, the chelated ones. I would not go for magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide can actually cause some sort of diarrhea. So most of your cheap supplementation actually has oxide. So you don't want to use them. They're actually poorly bioavailable. Bisglycinate is probably quite the easiest to get, and it has quite a good balance of everything. So you can just go with that. So when you're talking about 3 to 400, it has the elemental, yeah. So because sometimes you do have like say 800 milligrams magnesium, and right there it's 800 milligrams magnesium, 150 elemental. So basically you're looking for the elemental. What you just mentioned is the elemental amount. So you want to look for the targeted elemental amount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So of the three electrolytes I mentioned, sodium would be the most critical electrolyte lost during exercise in sweat. Even a 2% drop in body water affects endurance and cognition.
Correct.
So that's why when you're dehydrated, it's leading to a lot of bad outcomes. And especially if you sweat a lot and you don't replenish it, you'll notice like can be quite a big drop in your performance. So think of the electrolytes in your body as a wiring system. If it short circuit midway through your race, it's game over. Okay.
All right.
All right. Now number 5, we're halfway through. Carbohydrate powder and intra-race fuel, or anything that's basically to replenish. Like the reason why you want carbohydrate powder, because it's liquid. You mix it with your water or your whatever cocktail you want to do, and it's ready to be absorbed much more quicker than having a solid meal.
Correct.
Right. So that's one of the main reasons why you want to have powder on hand and not a solid meal, because of the absorption rate and the digestion capabilities in that given environment and context.
Well, here's a fun fact. Whenever you're actually doing like heated activities like this, you have what is called redistribution of blood. So the first blood vessels that actually get reduced blood supply. I mean, first area that gets reduced blood supply the moment you start exercising is the splenic vessels, which actually supplies your gut system.
Okay.
So think about when you're exercising, your muscles need most amount of blood. So your body actually redistributes most of it towards the muscles. The brain is unaffected most of the time. And the gut goes down to bare minimum just to keep it alive. So if you're going to take things which are highly, you need to digest a lot more high in fat, a lot of fiber during an activity, that's going to be a bad idea, going to lead you to a toilet very soon.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where your fast digesting carbohydrates like glucoline comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're exercising very intense, I mean, this is what you're saying. Like, if you're exercising very intense, all the people that are working are currently workforce is being distributed to somewhere else.
Correct.
So when food enters your system, there's not enough workforce to actually like break it down for you.
Correct.
So it just like doesn't go anywhere. It causes like a lot of like go to the toilet basically, right?
Right.
So carbohydrates fuel both aerobic and anaerobic activities. So it helps replenish your glycogen stores and maintain blood sugar level or blood glucose to keep the brain sharp. Obviously, your brain can produce its own level of glucose, but having it from like another external source is always best, right? You don't want to rely on like the reserves. Dosages can be 30 to 60 grams per hour during the extended efforts which you're doing them. You can also preload them, which is anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes before your race begins.
Yeah. So ideally for your fluids as well, we're using glucoline. 6 to 8% is the best absorption.
Yep, 6 to 8%. Dual carb blends, glucose and fructose.
Yeah, because when you blend them, you use different channels to get absorptions.
Yeah.
So that effectively gives you 2 ways of getting sugar into your blood.
It enhances the absorption rate basically.
Correct.
Up to about, was it 1.5 grams per minute?
Is it? Wow, that's quite fast.
I think it's 1.5 grams per minute. It's pretty fast. It's pretty fast compared to single sources.
Yeah.
So again, think of carbs during the competition as throwing wood into a furnace. All right, you keep the fire burning while the rest of your competitors are just running on fumes. So good quality, good mixture of glucose and fructose, timing it well, knowing when to get it, will help you not just keep you longer in the race, but keep you going faster, harder, and all those.
All right.
Okay. Number 6, and this is pretty interesting, beetroot juice.
Oh, nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide, correct.
Yeah.
So beetroot increases nitric oxide production, which is essentially nitric oxide helps open your blood vessels. So more blood, and basically what blood carries? Oxygen, right? So more oxygen can flow to your muscle. So you got to think of it as like it's like widening the roads. When these blood vessels open, it's like widening the roads. So more cars, which in this analogy, it would be your blood and oxygen, can get to your muscles faster. So in terms of dosage, about 400 to 600 milligrams, plus minus 500 ml of beetroot juice, which gives you about 400 to 600 milligrams of nitrate.
Will it come in powder form already?
I'm pretty sure you can definitely find it in powder form. But if you look at most of your pre's or like even supplement companies out there, reputable supplement companies out there, they sell it in powder form.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, because we're already getting electrolytes, sugar, I think we get a powder form.
It's one nice cocktail ready to go in. But again, timing matters. Like some of these things you don't want to, you can mix them, but at the same time, you want to make sure the timing is there. So 2 to 3 hours pre-race would be a good time.
So
Others, so some things take longer to settle in, and some take much quicker.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you time it.
Okay.
So one of the interesting things about beetroot juice, or at least nitric oxide in general, is that it actually improves something called your time to exhaustion, which means the time for basically the time until you get exhausted.
Right.
It extends it. It even lowers your perceived effort, meaning to say like it lowers how difficult a particular exercise or event or situation actually is. Something that caffeine also does, but beetroot gives it a bit more of a boost.
I guess you're taking different strategies to actually reduce your time to exhaustion.
Correct.
Yeah. Or increase your time to exhaustion.
Improves your time to exhaustion. So basically it's like a compounding.
Yeah.
Like it's like
multiple strategies.
Right? I mean, if you are an athlete and you've really nailed your recovery, you've really nailed your nutrition, you really nailed your training, supplementation is just the 1%.
Right.
And if stacking all this gives you that 1% edge, you'll do it.
Right. Okay.
So think of beetroot juice or this nitric oxide as turbocharging your VO2 engine. Your muscles get more oxygen for less effort during the rowing or ski. Okay, whey protein, number 7. Fast digestion and rich in leucine, which is the amino acid that's important when it comes to muscle protein synthesis. It's good for recovery post workout, especially, or as if you're someone who's just struggling to get protein into their diet, supplementing with whey is a good choice. But again, we're talking from a context where you already have your nutrition down. Whey protein is just, again, icing on the cake kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's easy to digest. That's why you want to take it.
And it's making sure you hit your protein targets for the day at least.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but I would like to believe that there's still people out there that are finding it difficult to hit their protein, or at least do not know how much protein they should be consuming for an event like HYROX, because bodybuilding is different, powerlifting is different, running is different, your macros vary very differently. And it's also seasonal.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be training for HYROX. I mean, okay, you are going to be training for HYROX, but it's all in a periodized fashion, right? So then you obviously one block where you need to build muscle, and the macro or calorie requirement for that block is going to be different. There'll be another block where you're going to be training for your endurance or stamina or even power, and the macros or that will also be different, right? So 20 to 40 grams post-workout is a good place to be in, but ideally anywhere between 1.6 or 1.8 to in upwards of like 2.2 to 2.3. So
yeah.
I just take a low to high range. 1.6 to 2.3 grams per kilogram of body weight is a good place to be in.
I mean, you can't go wrong with protein. Even whether you're an endurance athlete, you're a strength athlete, powerlifter, strongman, HYROX, I think you can't go wrong with consuming enough protein. I mean, of course, you can see that people are trying to build muscle are going to take the higher amounts of protein, but staying within that 1.6 to 2.2 range is safe for most people. Even if you want to build muscle, it's a pretty safe range. And now we have research showing that even if you go beyond 2.2, there is still gains that you can get from the protein, albeit it could be like dwindling off, but the graph still is on an upward trajectory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And combining carbohydrates with your protein post-workout does improve glycogen resynthesis. Correct. And helps reduce potential DOMs.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about creatine and so I think like there is research showing that if you supplement it post-workout, the absorption is a tad bit better.
Okay. So in this particular supplement, whey protein is like the pit crew, right? You've pretty much destroyed your body through training or the competition. Whey protein is the pit crew right there to come fix you up really well, help with recovery, get you back on track.
You can stay performing.
Yeah, you can stay performing, right? And number 8, L-citrulline malate. So L-citrulline malate, it converts to something called arginine.
Correct.
All right. Arginine is
going to be required for your nitric oxide production.
Yeah, it basically, you need it for your nitric oxide production. It boosts nitric oxide in the body, which then again improves blood flow and nutrient delivery. So blood doesn't just carry oxygen, it carries other nutrients, vital nutrients as well, to the respective tissue it needs to. And this all, again, helps with improving the performance. Cool. All right. Anywhere between 6 to 8 grams, 30 to 60 minutes before training is a good place to be in. It's shown, like studies have shown, it actually improves reps to failure. Basically, if you're doing any repetition, movement, resistance training wise, or even HYROX related, it does improve your level of, improves your fatigue level as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, watermelon is rich in it.
Yep, watermelon's rich in it.
Yeah.
So like your wall balls, your kettlebell farmer walks, or even your sleds.
Yeah. And the reason why people don't supplement with arginine instead of, because you said it converts to arginine.
Exactly.
Why not just give arginine?
Exactly.
The thing is, because arginine's absorption is actually not as good through oral ingestion. So that's why citrulline maltodextrin has a better ability to get absorbed and then converts into arginine, and then the next cycle goes on.
Okay. Yeah, exactly like that. So number 9 is something called taurine. I don't think so many people know it. Taurine essentially helps regulate muscle contractions. It helps with something called mitochondrial health and fluid balance. It also has an antioxidant and calming effect. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit more on 2 things, which is the mitochondrial health and the antioxidant. Mitochondria, everyone knows, powerhouse of the cell, right? It's like tiny power plants inside your cell. It keep them healthy, and it just means that your body produces energy better. So that's what it means to have good mitochondrial health. Now, the antioxidant aspect of it, it helps to protect your body from damage, which I think most people would know this. It helps to protect your body from most damage caused by stress and intense exercise that you put your body through, right? It also gives a calming effect. It helps to reduce anxiety and overstimulation, right? So it's like it has a good balance to it.
Sounds like something L-theanine would do. Yeah, L-theanine is something that you have in your pre-workouts. It's more like, because some people get very jittery when there's too much caffeine.
Yep.
So L-theanine is the one that actually gives you the kind of brings down the jittery effect while you maintain the stimulus effect. So it reduces jitteriness in people who are sensitive to pre-workouts. So you see most of your pre-workouts, actually they have L-theanine to balance that out.
Yeah, so the dosages has to be actually of a certain level for it to actually cover. So it's kind of the ratio has to be there. If the ratio is off, then it doesn't really do much.
I see.
So dosages wise, for something like taurine can be anywhere between 1 to 2 grams per day, pre or intra workout. It's often paired with caffeine, so it smooths out the jitters and enhances the endurance even more. So taurine or L-theanine, I would think both works, but in this case, taurine has a bit more research behind it.
Okay, that's a Red Bull. Yeah.
Taurine's a Red Bull. Taurine is kind of like, and this is the analogy I had to like work on. It's like the hydration shield for your muscles. It's so that they don't overheat or cramp, even after like 7+ stations. It's pretty good. It's pretty good to have. I think a lot of people would benefit from this as well. Try experimenting. And last but not least, number 10, something called adaptogens. Yeah, adaptogens are basically herbs or natural substances that help your body adapt to stress from a physical, mental, and even emotional standpoint.
Is it like stuff like ashwagandha?
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha
And rhodiola roses.
Okay.
Adaptogens are like shock absorbers. They're like shock absorbers. They help you handle the bumps and stress of training and life.
They kind of smooth it down the
Yes, exactly. So these herbs help to modulate something called the HPA axis in the human body, which is essentially the stress system. Correct?
Yeah.
It helps to reduce cortisol. It helps to improve endurance and recovery from training. The HPA is kind of like it is your body's stress response system.
Yeah, it's a hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal.
Adaptogens help balance it.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Perfect.
So you don't overreact, or you don't like burn out under pressure. It helps keep you like relatively calm. They're kind of like an analogy would be like the thermostat for your body. They're like the thermostat for your body, for the stress in your body. So when things reach a certain level, it just helps you to like bring it back down, things like that. Dosages wise, in terms of for like rhodiola, you want about 200 to 400 milligrams per day, and more specifically, you want it to be of 3% rosavins, which is an extract that is actually what gives the effect that you want from the supplement. So most, you know how like ashwagandha, not any ashwagandha works. You have to find one that says
Yes.
KSM 66. Correct, KSM 66. So for rhodiola, you want it to make sure it has 3% rosavins. And ashwagandha, 300 to 600 milligrams per day with 5% analytes, right? Was that the case? KSM?
Yeah, the percentage matters.
Yeah, correct. So it's averages are like basically the mental armor which you carry.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All right.
All right. Now, obviously, people are asking, how does this work? How do we put it all into one? So I've come up with a cheat sheet that you guys can use for yourself. So 7 to 10 days before the race, you can start loading with beta-alanine, 3.2 to 6.4 grams per day. Again, like what you mentioned just now, you want to experiment it. You don't want to just start 7 to 10 days. You can actually start much, much sooner. But this will be a cheat sheet for you to implement it. 7 to 10 days, start with beta-alanine, loading with 3.2 to 6.4 grams per day. Maintain creatine 3 to 5 grams per day. Continue your daily electrolyte and magnesium intake. Nothing changes there. And there's an option to start beetroot juice loading, which it takes about 5 to 6 days for full plasma nitric oxide levels. So 5 to 6 days. So it's 7 to 10 days before the race. Race day or morning of the race day, 2 to 3 hours before, get a carbohydrate-rich breakfast. So it can be like oats, banana, honey, my personal favorite, or wheat pix, banana, honey, whichever you do. Beetroot juice again, 500 milliliters. Hydrate with electrolytes, at least 500 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium pre-race. 45 to 60 minutes before the race, caffeine, 200 to 300 milligrams. Citrulline malate, 6 to 8 grams. Taurine, 1 to 2 grams. This is optional. And a small carb top up. Banana, you can have a banana, a gel, or even a drink with 20 to 30 grams of carbs. Again, all these types have to be based on your personal preference and history. Do not, I repeat, do not try something new on the day of race. Do not try a new supplement. Do not try new foods. Do not try new anything. Yeah. Whatever that you've been consuming, just change the quantities. Okay? Now, during the race, if the race is lasting 75 to 90 minutes, sip on your electrolyte / carbohydrate drink that we talked about just now. Have 30 to 60 grams of carbs every hour. So if it's 90 minutes at the 60-minute mark, you can have this. It helps to have multiple shakers where it's already mixed in together so that you don't have to like put it all on the day itself. You can just write
Label it.
Label it. Immediately post-race, 20-30 grams of whey protein, good there. A carbohydrate snack, maybe you prepare a sandwich with bread, 30 to 50 grams of carbohydrates. Again, rehydrate with your electrolyte. Don't go chugging things down. You want to slowly reduce it. Again, prepare beforehand. Say that this is what I have to take before, this is what I have to take during, this is what I have to take after. So you know the exact quantities and you're done. You don't end up like, how much do I take? Do I take 200? And it upsets your stomach, right? An optional thing you can do post-race would be to take ashwagandha later on, closer, like before you go to bed, to help with the recovery. Now, these are some things that, again, you want to avoid, which is things like your GI distress, your overdosing, or even potentially bad blends. A few mistakes that I see or have read people do, which is taking too much beta-alanine at once. That's a really bad thing to happen to you. You do not want to have that feeling. If you've never experienced paresthesia, you're going to feel like you're dying. Like your face, you just want to scratch your face off.
Beta-alanine is tingling. Too much beta, you feel like you get slapped.
Yeah, you feel like you get slapped like left and right. So basically, what happens if you take too much? You have a tingling sensation, you have flushing, and you have a really, really upset GI gut.
The tingling can be quite intense.
So what you can do to avoid this is split the dosage across the day. Very good. Chugging beetroot juice, do not chug too close to the race. Slowly introduce it. If you chug too much, you get nausea and an upset stomach. Take 2 to 3 hours before, as I mentioned, not 30 minutes before. That's why the timing matters. Very common thing, overdosing on caffeine. Jitters, anxiety, heart palpitations, these are common things you've felt before. Stay within the 1 to 3 or 3 to 6, like what you mentioned just now. Test it in training. Don't get cheap electrolyte blends with no sodium. That's honestly really bad. Like, can you imagine you're cramping and he's like, you put salt, only to see the label, no sodium. No sodium salt. I was like, what the hell? The reason why you want to avoid this is because it gives you a false sense of hydration.
Right.
You think you're getting water, but you're not actually getting the necessary electrolytes in. And because you're drinking more water without the sodium, it's just continue flushing whatever sodium or electrolytes you already have in the body, and that's really dangerous.
And definitely more dehydrated.
Correct. So look for sodium dominant electrolyte mixes. So sodium dominant means more sodium than anything. Unverified, again, this is a mistake. Unverified pre-workouts, basically unregulated, not approved, very dangerous stuff. Underdosed, even worse. Hidden stimulants. Get it from a reputable brand. Shameless plug there. And last but not least, fat burners and these stim stacks. Try to avoid, avoid diuretics. These fat burners, they have nothing, they just have diuretics. They increase your heart rate and it just leads to a really uncomfortable sensation. Avoid them during any of these HYROX related events. Those are the 10 supplements that I would recommend for anyone going for competing in HYROX. Again, obviously there's a few things to remember, that if you have to make sure that your food is on point, your recovery is on point, your training is on point, then these supplements will contribute a little bit better.
Yeah.
But if you are not already addressing all the things I mentioned and you take these supplements, sure, maybe they'll give you a boost, but it's just setting yourself up for a much more uphill climb later on, because you're not addressing the main things that could actually really improve your performance. What do you think? Of those 10, you think all of them?
I've used all of it except for maybe taurine.
Okay. I've used taurine before and it's actually pretty good, but it's not something that I actively insert into my supplement stack.
Cool.
Okay, cool.